And we're live a couple minutes early. All right. Hello, Core Collector. How you doing? Andre and Beach 76. Hello, everyone. Beers and cheers from Portland, Oregon. Cheers to Portland, Oregon from the United States. All right, I'm just grabbing the link here really fast. Plug it into Twitter and Facebook, and then we are ready to go. Okay, there we go. All right. So, yeah, we got our grape soda, and we've got our chocolate-covered donuts. So, good times tonight. Hey, I see some familiar faces. Hello, Green Yeti. Yvonne and Chad, how do you do? Ronnie. Hello, Mark Hoke. Ronald Hoover, hi, how you doing? Wow, tons of folks in here. Kevin Murray, how do you do? Beta Ray Bob, nice to see you. Hello, Benny. Donuts are here, Chad. Donuts are here. Hello, Byron. Hey, good to see you. Hey, Byron, I liked your little quick review of the Vamp knockoff. I thought that was amusing. And Comic Tropes is here, and G.I. Joeberg is here as well. And the Human Mechanism is here. It's a Cobra Convergence reunion. Green Yeti gets to work at KB Toys tomorrow. Well, congratulations. I hope that goes well, and I hope you find lots of cool stuff. Hey, Delvis, how do you do? Minecraft 69 says Hail Hydra. Just Cobra for me. It's not sure I'm ready to go full Hydra. We'll just stick with Cobra over here. Hey B Bishop, how do you do? Good to see you. So yeah, I've been talking about this for a while. So we're going to try this combination of the grape soda and chocolate-covered donuts. It's the Dreadnok challenge. And I don't mind the chocolate-covered donuts. That's fine. I'm just not a big fan of grape soda. I mean, it's not the worst. I can drink it. But I always think of grape soda as being like a kid's drink. You know, just like a super sugary drink that it's just not something I would normally have for myself. Comic Tropes wants me to do a Hoodie Cocoa t-shirt that says he bends at the knee about 90 degrees. You know, it's kind of weird. Like, we talked about this before, and I don't think of myself as having, like, catchphrases, but I guess I've picked up a few. Comic Tropes suggests that I do meth next time. We'll see about that. We'll see. So hello everybody. I do have stuff. I have a few things to show you. I just got back on Sunday from Dallas, and I got some stuff. I guess I can show you. First of all, JJ. Oh, hello, Mike Lopez. How you doing? You didn't miss anything. Anyway. JJ's Toys Room, who you may remember from the live chat, he gave me an Ace. What is this, version 2 of Ace? I can't remember, but this version of Ace, you know, the fighter pilot version, which is so cool. I really like this. It's a really cool version of Ace. With the fighter pilot helmet and everything. I really like this look. So he gave me that. So thank you very much for that. I also got an extra vamp that I have some plans for. Yeah, rubber O-rings. Well, I could do a t-shirt with like the whole articulation spiel. The whole idea when I started out is like each review should stand on its own, right? So even if you you don't get in on the early reviews, no matter when you come in and no matter what review is your first review, that should stand on its own. So it should have everything that one of my reviews should have, even if it's the articulation section that is mainly just repeated every single time. So yeah, Rob M, go get your Bundaberg root beer from the fridge. We'll wait. Hey Matt, the Sergeant Slaughter interview I just watched, actually Comic Tropes shared that with me, and I just posted it on Facebook. A really interesting interview. Oh, David, thank you. David, I was hoping that you would show up. I wanted to apologize. I should have gotten a picture with you. I would have enjoyed putting you in the video. I actually did a video of the Dallas Vintage Toys visit. But thank you for saying hi. That was a lot of fun. It was really cool to meet you. And cool to meet your daughter as well. And Comic Tropes sends a $10 super chat. He says, much love to your channel. You work hard on it, and I appreciate the extra comics reviews. Thank you very much. And you know what? To that, I think I should have my first sip of grape soda. I've been putting this off because, as I said, I'm not a big fan of grape soda. But here you go. Here's the Comic Tropes. Thank you. Yep, that's grape soda. It tastes like melted down grape candy that's carbonated. It's just that grapey and sugary. A t-shirt that says "Good enough for the girls I go out with." Yeah, Sandy's old trope. So anyway, there's so we've already started with the grape soda, and I will finish this because I don't want to be wasteful. Oh, hello, JJ's Toy Room. Thanks for joining us. I just showed the stuff that I got at Dallas Vintage Toys, and thank you again for having us. That was a lot of fun. So that's the grape soda. I've actually been looking forward to these. Stale. All right, well, that was unpleasant. Mark says, would I consider the Dreadnoks a sub-team? Yeah, I would. I apologize, I'm not interacting fast enough. I'm sort of doing this. Oh, Chad sends a $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Chad. He says, have you added any more drawings on eBay? Haven't noticed any notifications. Not lately. I actually haven't been drawing as much lately. I need to get back to it. I need to do more on eBay, but I also need to get a few done to bring with me to Joe Fest. I will have artwork at Joe Fest. JJ asks if his identity has been revealed. Everybody knows who you are, sir. And I do have a video of the Dallas Vintage Toys visit. It should be going up tomorrow. Delvis asks if I do commissions. I don't know. I never really have. I guess I could. If anybody really wanted something specific. Rob asks if it's okay that his donuts packaging has Valentine stuff on it. That's perfectly valid. Go for it. You know, you should be secure enough in your masculinity that you can eat pink heart-shaped donuts. Johannes says, I would love to see Hasbro reissue vintage G.I. Joe toys like they do reissue G1 Transformers. Yeah, we have gotten more Transformers reissued than G.I. Joe. But I'm wondering if like reissuing the vintage toys might be more expensive just because of the way they're constructed. I don't know. Comic Tropes wants to know my favorite card art. I would really have to think about that. Favorite card art. Favorite card art. Of course, now that you ask me, I'm blanking. If you asked, you know, any other time, I could probably think of one. Let's see, what card art, you know, going back to like the early days, like 1982, I really was fascinated with the Cobra Soldier and Cobra Officers card art. There was something about it. Hebros sends a super chat of $10. He says, is there any way to fix thumbs? I want to get a vintage Zap, but I can't find any with unbroken thumbs. I understand, Hebro, that is a huge problem and a huge difficulty with collecting vintage Zap, especially the straight arm version. As I recall, I'm not sure exactly where I saw it, but there is someone who does a tutorial on fixing thumbs. And I'll have to see if I can find it. There is a repair that you can do. But I haven't tried it, so I can't say that, you know, I can't vouch for how well it works. Another, you know, always check with Toy Polloi, the YouTube channel Toy Polloi on toy repair stuff. He may have some ideas on repairing thumbs as well. But yeah, getting a vintage Zap with his thumbs intact is one of the hardest things to do. Yeah, Chad, that's a good point. Fear of reissued figures is how many will be opened, put in a baggie, and passed off as original. That's always a risk. That is always a risk. That's, I mean, for me, that's one reason why, you know, if they reissue them, there should be some difference, some noticeable difference between the vintage one and the reissue. Now there is someone who man, I gotta see if I can find that. Thanks for bringing it up, Hebro. I will see if maybe, I don't know if I can find it, but I'll try. But there is someone who had a repair for broken thumbs. I'll see if I can find it. Good question, though. Good question. And JJ's toy room wasn't here when I mentioned it, but I wanted to say thanks again for the invite out to Dallas Vintage Toys. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, thank you. And I did show the stuff that I got. Hello, WWJD85. Byron says he's seen Fun School Night Vipers sold as Hasbro. Yeah. Although, really, you ought to be able to tell the difference between like a U.S. release and a like a Fun School version. But not everybody can. Fun School is not really like it's not a knockoff or anything. It's a licensed foreign release G.I. Joe item. So you're not getting a knockoff. You're getting an actual vintage item. It's just not the U.S. release. Chad asks, what's Fun School? Fun School is the company that issued G.I. Joe toys in India. Michael Bassett says Night Force is his favorite sub-team. Well, thank you. And Night Force is pretty cool. I still need to nail down some of the Night Force vehicles, but the figures, for the most part, are really cool. Not all of them are perfect, but most of them are pretty good. Peter Ang says, is it me or does Snake Eyes look naked in the cartoon and comic? I find that about it. Yeah, Snake Eyes is the character that they really drew more like a traditional superhero, and his uniform tended to be, some artists, not all, but some, kind of gave his uniform kind of a superhero, like skin tight, showing off the muscles kind of thing, more so than the other characters. B Bishop CBGB there says great review on Night Force Tunnel Rat. Thank you very much. Notice that the scope on version 2 is longer. I'll have to check that. I didn't notice that. I'd always just hang the TNT bag under the backpack. Yeah, that would work too. I really want to put it on the figure the way it looks like it's intended, but that strap just does not have very much give at all. Justin Luby says, you said a while back you Frankenstein your Joes back in 87 or 88. What did you try to make them out to be? Did the same for DC and Marvel characters. We had, when I say we, like me and my brother and my friend, we had our own like special team called the Wolverines. And we'd make our own original characters for our Wolverines little sub-team. And of course, Wolverines, we took that name from the movie Red Dawn. And we had this whole, we had a whole storyline and a whole background for it. I would draw comic books for it, and we would write up file cards and things like that. So we had, it was very elaborate. Ronald Hoover asks if I will get the Dino Hunter set. I will eventually get it. I was reluctant to get it. Dinosaurs and G.I. Joe, but yeah, eventually I'll have to pick it up. I know it's a rare set and it'll take a while. It's not super high on the priority list. Comic Tropes, I did not keep my pages for the old comic books. I wish I could find them. All that stuff had been floating around for years, but I think that my parents got rid of it. They had moved several times, and I don't think everything that I don't think all my old stuff got moved. But yeah, it was like a regular thing, drawing comic books, and we do that, of course, on like lined notebook paper. Not very professional, but that's what we used to do. Oh, Mark is doing an all-women theme for March. Cool. So Mark Hoke has a YouTube channel, and apparently he's going to be doing an all-women theme for March. So actually, I believe if you are watching this on a PC, you can just click on Mark's name right there and go to his channel and check that out. Delvis, Dino Hunters, but not Street Fighter. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why I was reluctant to do the Dino Hunters, much for the same reason that I don't want to do the Street Fighter. I don't know if I want to really include that in the scope of my collection. But reluctantly, I am gonna get the Dino Hunters, mainly because, I mean, it actually has actual later versions of G.I. Joe characters. So who was it? Was like it was Ambush and Lowlight, I think, that were in Dino Hunters, and so I wouldn't be able to complete the reviews on those characters unless I get Dino Hunters. And that is not the case with Street Fighter. So that's kind of where I drew the line. But again, reluctantly getting Dino Hunters. Yeah, so I was trying to think of what else I got to show you here as far as show and tell goes. I can't show you any of the stuff over there because that's for the next review. You haven't seen it yet. I don't want to give that away. James Corman says he still has his old G.I. Joe comics. Well, that's cool. And that's awesome. I wish I did. I don't have any of my old G.I. Joe comics. Fortunately, generous donation to the channel allowed me to complete the Marvel run. Thank you. But I had just been piecing together the collection. I used to have a bunch of them, of course, as a kid, and those either got sold or given away. I don't know what happened to them, but I hadn't had them for years. It's it's a tough choice as to whether this or the Stella Artois is worse. Yeah, Comic Tropes wants me to read the IDW run, and I will. I will read it. I just haven't got around to it yet. Yeah, the silent issue. Hey, on the comic book reviews, we're coming up on the silent issue pretty soon. We're up to issue number 20. So, issue 21 is getting close. Oh yeah, the comic book review is why I have this out. Because I had to put the Pack Rats into the issue number 19 review. And, you know, I hadn't gotten my Pack Rats out for quite some time. And I gotta take better care of my Pack Rats. Some of them were like in pieces, and I had a hard time putting them back together. I just don't pay much attention to my Pack Rats. That's right. Comic Tropes strikes again, saying that Larry Hama himself penciled that issue. That's true. And I think, especially if for a lot of us, we remember Larry as the writer, of course, because we saw his name in front of almost every issue of the comic book. But a lot of us may not think of Larry as an artist, but that's, of course, where he got his start. And Phoenix asks if anybody's heard from Kevin, ForumBX257, because he hasn't posted in a while. I have not heard from him. I was actually about to reach out to him pretty soon, so I hope everything's well with him. Peter Eng says, what about Buzz Dixon? I feel like I've missed some context for that. Yeah, I don't hear from Kevin very often. I know he's a busy person. But hopefully he's well, and I probably will check in with him at some point. Painted Plastic says, writer, artist, actor, true jack of all trades. I beg to differ. He is a true Larry of all trades. Hey, it's MacDowlan. Howdy ho. Hey, we got an all-star cast here. Every one of you guys is a star, and I'm happy to have you here. Yeah, Phoenix, I hope Kevin is doing fine too. He's one of my favorite people. What else? Okay, I'll show you guys some stuff that I got recently that's not related to G.I. Joe. I went shopping at a couple of the local antique stores, of course, always looking for Joe stuff. And I didn't find any this time, but I found some other stuff. I found some Joe stuff at Dallas Vintage Toys, but no luck actually here in my hometown. Oh, Tony says Timmer's Daredevil review was good. I agree. I like Timmer's review. Okay, so, but I did find a few things, all just oddities and novelties, but not Joe stuff. I got Fisher-Price Adventure People Spaceman. And I actually liked, like, this one is, the way the head is, like, turns inside the helmet. I actually think that's really cool. He's not in very good shape, but it was really cheap. And I do have an interest, even though I don't actively collect them, in getting a few samples of some pre-G.I. Joe 3 3/4 inch figures. Sorry. So, you know, I pick up one of these every now and again, just because this actually is related to the history of G.I. Joe, and so I like to have them handy. Oh, hey, Gaz. I'm sorry I didn't see you come in. Hello, Gaz. I guess Byron had this one. Yeah. The other thing I got... Okay, I got two other things. I got this magazine. Okay, this magazine is called Star Force, and I got it because it has this. It has exclusive sneak peek Star Wars 3: The Jedi Fight Again. I was like, oh, that should be good. This thing was published... I had to look for the publishing date. It was published in June of 1982, and so I thought it might be kind of an amusing contemporary write-up about the upcoming Return of the Jedi. And all it really is just this story right here. And it doesn't even have a byline on it. The writer didn't even take credit for it. I mean, this magazine is it's charmingly amateurish. It's just it's really hokey. And I actually kind of have a soft spot for, the amateur creator. And some fan just kind of made this thing. It's crappy. I mean, the print and the text is pretty bad, and stuff isn't lined up right, and it's really hokey. And it has like a super cheesy comic book in the back. But still, I love this stuff because it's just, it's fans creating stuff, and that I do appreciate. So, Joe Motion Videos asked, what about the Star Wars Holiday Special on VHS? I actually have it on DVD. I have the Holiday Special. So Joburg says he's finally in an appropriate time zone to catch the Hoodie Show. That's right. I'm a big fan of Joburg. Oh, by the way, Blazing Sand Part 2. I keep wanting to call it Blazing Saddles. I'm sorry. But the Blazing Sand Part 2 was up. It was really good. I did post that on Facebook, so check that out. Really just fun videos coming from Joburg. Comic Trope says, do you think the Hasbro job posting for G.I. Joe brand manager is legit? It means we might have something next year. I assume that it's legit. It looked legit. And they were planning on releasing something concurrent with the next movie. So they would need someone to... they would need someone to, you know, manage it. They need someone in charge. So I assume that it is. What the product will be, I can't say, but, you know, I understand that's the plan. Swamp Thing asks, what's up with the Hepburn poster over your shoulder? That's a Hepburn poster and it's over my shoulder. That's what's up with it. Okay, so one more thing that I got. Not related to G.I. Joe, but it is related to collecting. Pez. I got a book on collecting Pez dispensers. Now, okay, hear me out now. I don't have any interest in Pez dispensers. None at all. But I do find this stuff fascinating, just seeing what other people collect. This is, it's hilarious for one thing, and it's a little bit ridiculous, but some people probably think that collecting G.I. Joe toys is a little ridiculous too. So I can't fault them there. But after looking through this book, I have to say I appreciate that we have Mark Bellomo, who is an excellent writer and researcher. So this certainly makes me appreciate the Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe even more. So, yeah, there's that. So that's all I got. Well, it's not all I got, but it's all I can show you right now. I'm surrounded by other stuff that I can't really show you because it's all coming up in videos soon. So anyway, I went on that tangent, and I've lost track of what you guys are talking about in the chat. So nobody's making fun of me, right? Another reason why I was reluctant to drink the grape soda is because it's carbonated, and of course, drink something carbonated, the tendency is to burp, and you know I don't. It's not really good television to watch somebody in a live stream, you know, burping through it. So I apologize. So anyway, Chad asks if I bought the Goofy artsy mask from my... I did not buy that. I just walked by it, and I walked by that mask, and the first thing I thought of was that really ridiculous line from Rise of Cobra. That line was unintentionally hilarious, but yeah, it just popped in my head, and I had to take a picture with it. Brett says, got Mark's book. Finally, noticed no entry for the mail-away Cobra Stinger variant. I'm not aware of a mail-away variant for the Stinger. So I would have to check on that. The hooded Pez Cobra Commander. That's it. You know, forget it. We're done with G.I. Joe. We're changing it to a Pez channel now. Gonna start doing Pez dispenser reviews. I'll talk about the articulation. The head goes back and forward. The little thing comes out. You take the candy out. We'll talk about the flavors of the candy, of the Pez. Don't worry, I'm not doing Pez. And every time I get something like this, I have to assure Susan that, no, I'm not collecting these. I'm never going to buy any Pez. I don't care anything about Pez. But what I do care about is just like reading up on other collectors. Yeah, the human mechanism is right. The head tilts up 90 degrees. That's it. That's the articulation on your Pez dispenser. But yeah, I will never buy Pez. I have no interest in Pez dispensers whatsoever. But yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got. I had more luck at Dallas Vintage Toys. Now we do have a local toy mall here, and I do like to hit them up, but I wasn't able to get to them this weekend. So Hoodie isn't a fan of 90s dispensers. So yeah, so that's how I'm doing. How are you doing? How are you? I didn't really have a topic, other than trying out these grape donuts and the chocolate covered soda. I expected better of the donuts. The donuts are really not good. Comic Tropes asked if I hooked up. Did you hook up my NES? I have not hooked up my NES. I got. Hang on. Sorry. I got my Atari. My Atari 2600. I have hooked that up. And it works. And I've played a few games on it. Comic Tropes asks any thoughts on Toy Fair last weekend. I have not kept up with Toy Fair. Since we know there's no since we know there's no G.I. Joe product coming this year, I knew there wasn't going to be any news, so I really haven't followed it. Review the Death Matter. So, pardon me. So now I can say that neither the grape soda nor the donuts are very good separately. They're also not very good as a combination. Okay. All right, enough of that. Trevor asks, are there any big Joe Cons happening where we can go and find Joes? We are doing Joe Fest in Augusta, Georgia in June. I will be there. Peter Ang asks, should the G.I. Joe cartoon come back and continue on Netflix just like the comic? It's hard to say. I don't know how well that would work. I have to assume it's more expensive to produce an animated series than a comic book, so they would need to have a guaranteed, pretty good audience before they would think about doing that. Green Yeti says, who do you think me as a kid would be a good G.I. Joe senior sales manager? Well, being that you're a kid, it's hard to call you a senior sales manager, but being that, excuse me, this is why we don't drink carbonated beverages on the air. Being that right now they have no senior manager, then you would automatically do better. Green Yeti would make the ultimate Globulus action figure. Yeah, what's wrong with the vintage one? What's wrong with that one? Is that not the ultimate one? Drop some peanuts in it. Oh man, I think I would implode. Rudy asks, do I have any plans to do a European or Action Force video? I do have plans. It's a bit early to be in the planning stage, but I have plans to do another Action Force video, but I don't have everything I need for it yet. So I have an idea of what I want to do, but it's going to be a little further down the road. I've got to prepare for it. I'm not ready for it, but I'd like to, and eventually I will. Yorktown Joe says mix in some Mentos. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah. Let's see. Renegade says he got his Cobra Mamba. Cool. Excuse me. Okay, no more drinking carbonated stuff on the live stream. That's now forbidden. And ordered my first remote control F14 from Motion RC. Hopefully Friday or Monday of next week. That's awesome. Byron says Buzzer is D. Snyder. I could see that. I could see that. That's what we need to lobby to have D. Snyder play Buzzer. That's got to be in the next movie. Yorktown Joe is in Wisconsin. Hello, Wisconsin from the United States. I have to say though, I mean, all right. Even though in fact, I'm going to put the lid on it. I'm not going to drink this anymore. I don't want to belch through my live stream. That's gross. But there's the fact that it's here, you know, I habitually reach out and drink it. Got to put it out of reach. Got to put it out of reach. Let's see. Comic Tropes asks if I will ever recruit my brother and Sam for a video. Well, I've had my brother in a couple of them. In the review of Crimson Guard, in the opening scene where I, you know, run into myself, it's my brother that's playing me from, you know, the backside. So, so he was in that one. As far as Sam, I don't know how to find Sam. I have tried to locate my old friend, my childhood friend Sam. I've been trying to locate him for years. I know what his name is. I know, you know, the general area where I think he should be living, but I can't find him. I've found a lot of my other friends from when I was a kid, but I cannot find that kid or that guy. I would love to connect with Sam again. He was very much as into G.I. Joe as my brother and I were, and we played with G.I. Joe all the time, almost every day. But if I could find him, I would love to have him on. I'd love to just, you know, say hi and see how he's doing. Painted Plastic says, what's your take on HasLab possibly crowdfunding a G.I. Joe reboot? Well, if it's HasLab, then it's going to be a higher end, and that means it'll be geared toward adults. And I know that stuff is going to be sold to adult collectors. Kids just don't buy toys like they used to, but that is not how you can get the next generation of fans. You can't get the next generation of fans by selling to the same people that are already buying. At some point, in some way or another, you have to branch out and you have to draw in a younger generation. You know, since I don't collect modern toys, you know, any Hasbro, HasLab project would not apply to me anyway. And I know a lot of people would love it, and, you know, great, I hope you get it. But what I'm really looking for is, how are we bringing in the next generation of fans? Like Green Yeti. See, Green Yeti points it out. Green Yeti says, I'm the next generation. That is absolutely true. There you go. But Green Yeti, we need more of that generation to be interested in G.I. Joe in order for the fandom to live on after we're all done. Joburg says, after re-release of 5 point of articulation vintage Star Wars figures, what's the likelihood of re-release of O-Ring Joes? I don't think I'd say it's less than 50-50 on the O-Ring ones. I think for a couple reasons. I think the cost of producing them would be higher, just because of the way they're constructed, and I don't know that the audience or the customer base is large enough to support that kind of project. Maybe on a smaller scale, but I don't know. Joe Motion Videos, born in 1774. You don't look that old. Really, I gotta say, you look pretty young and sprightly for being over 200 years old. Nyquist wants it. He says, take his money. Re-release the vintage Joes. He'll buy them. And Nyquist, that means you have to buy all of them. All of them. The Vampire Viper. Yeah, that's true. Comic Tropes points out they did make G.I. Joe Creo, Hasbro's version of Lego. Let's see. B. Bishop says, you hear about the new generation of Barbie. Is this the next generation, the next direction for G.I. Joe to take? Your thoughts? Well, I don't know. Barbie is different. And by the way, let me say something positive about Barbie. Barbie has had, sustained success since, the 1950s? It's been multi-generational success. And G.I. Joe, for all of its merits, has not been able to match that. It has had periodic success, but it's also had periods where it has not been successful and has been canceled several times. So, kudos to Barbie. Barbie apparently is doing something right. As for one direction G.I. Joe should go, I don't want to get into too specifics because I don't really think of it that, at that granular level, but I think that the focus is going to, if they're going to try to bring in a next generation of fans, the focus is going to probably be less on toys, less on plastic, and more on media, on movies, video games, and stuff like that, because that's where younger people are gravitating toward more than physical toys. I also think the target demographic has to be older than we were when we started. So I don't think you're going to get a lot of 7-8-year-olds interested, but 12, 13-year-olds might be interested in movie, TV show, video game, as long as it's really cool. And I've missed some of your chat. I'm sorry. As soon as I start talking, my eyes shut off and I don't read anything. So the text goes by, but I'm not following it very well. So sorry about that. Joe Berg points out production costs on Transformers are higher than O-Ring Joes, but Transformers have a slew of blockbuster films, and that's correct. I mean, just your core market, your core fan base for Transformers, at least right now, is larger than your core fan base with G.I. Joe. And if you're going to do something like that, you have to sell, you know, a minimum number of units to make it cost effective. And so, is the fan base for G.I. Joe large enough to buy that number of units to make it worthwhile? And I'm just not sure. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not pretending to know. I don't know if it is or it isn't. Excuse me. Matt Ludi says Red Letter Media is looking for a G.I. Joe for their next video. That's interesting. Well, Sergeant Slaughter is a G.I. Joe. Maybe they should ask him. He's a real one. Will Arms says, I think Adventure Team was a better response to times when support for military/violent toys were in decline, the way Hasbro did it in the 90s. Well, in the 70s, they went with Adventure Team. And, you know, as much as I think Adventure Team is maybe a little bit derided by other fans, Adventure Team did extend the life of G.I. Joe for several years. So I got to give Adventure Team credit for that. But one thing that's important to me is that the brand G.I. Joe, the name G.I. Joe, has a meaning beyond just the toys. The word, you know, the words G.I. Joe mean something. And so if there isn't some connection to some military connection, then there's no reason to call it G.I. Joe. That's my thing. And you know, you can go other places with it, sure. You can have your ninjas, you can have other things in it, but if it doesn't have any kind of military connection or theme, then there's no reason to put a G.I. Joe label on it. I mean, that goes down to the very essential fact of what a G.I. Joe is. Comic Trope says, I grant you the position of casting director of a new G.I. Joe TV show for some streaming service. Who do you cast? Well, let's see. I'll cast B. Bishop there as the Crimson Guard. And I'll cast Brandon Knight there. He's going to be Roadblock. Byron will be the Alley Viper. I don't know. I'm really bad at those things. I don't know. B. Bishop says analog toys are going the way of the almighty dodo. Real shame. Analog toys give... Okay, so you're talking... Okay, Bishop, you're talking about like physical toys, not the YouTube channel Analog Toys, right? Because there's a YouTube channel called Analog Toys. I like that channel. I started to panic for a second. I thought you were saying that he was shutting down his channel. Gaz can be Shockwave. In fact, everybody gets to be their favorite character. And if two of you have, like, the same favorite character, you get to trade off. And Orderly Alley Viper says he'll be the kid at the end that says, and knowing is half the battle. That's good. I like that. Rudy asks if I have a particular favorite Joe animal companion from either the comics, cartoon, or toy iteration. I think it would probably be Timber, the wolf. Just because the wolf is tied to Snake Eyes' mythology. Both in the cartoon and the comic book series, you know, he was a friend of the wolf. It was something mysterious about his connection to the wolf. Yeah. Oh, hey, I just realized it's getting close to 8 o'clock. We're not there yet. We got a few minutes. I'm just, fair warning. I will be trying to finish up at 8. It's been a long day, so I'll need a break. I will need something other than these donuts to eat. Yes, Green Yeti gets to be Globulus and Shipwreck at the same time. So you have to wear the tail and the hat. So Painted Plastic says, kids 8 and 3 love physical toys. That's good. Cool. Difference nowadays is media associated with properties just isn't as strong. That may be true too. I don't know. Comic Trope says, come over for some Popeyes. I'll be right there. Byron liked the dogs. I liked the dogs. I liked Junkyard. I mean, the first animal companions in the vintage line were like Junkyard and Spirit the Eagle. And I just thought it was really cool that G.I. Joes came with animals. That was awesome. James Clark will be Polly. JC says G.I. Joe is an adult toy now. Hasbro needs to go the way of NECA. Well, they certainly can go that way, but if they essentially go all in that direction, what that means is that we are the last generation of G.I. Joe fans. And we're essentially giving up on the idea of having a next generation. And maybe we won't have a next generation. Maybe Green Yeti will be the only G.I. Joe fan, when we're all done. But you try anyway, right? You don't give up. You keep trying. So I think it's worth the try. And I've said this before. G.I. Joe has made Hasbro a lot of money in the past. And even if they shut everything down, even if they gave up on it for years and years, at some point, somewhere down the way, some junior executive at Hasbro is going to look at the old books and see how much money G.I. Joe made for that company and is going to try again. Unless they become allergic to money, someone will try again eventually. It's just too valuable a brand. And has made so much money in the past, so they'll try even if this next attempt doesn't work. Somewhere down the road, they will try again. Painted Plastic says the next generation, next G.I. Joe iteration needs to be as different from 3 3/4 as 3 3/4 from 12-inch. That would be fine with me. That obviously would not be fine with a lot of fans, because a lot of fans want just more of what they like. And certainly, that's makes sense, right? You want more of what you like. But more of what you like may not be the thing that brings in the next generation. So, I'm hopeful that they'll keep trying. So, anyway, that's kind of those are my thoughts. So thanks for asking. Justin Lobby says, would like to restart my collection. Just wanted to know reasonable prices for 80s unpackaged Joes with all accessories. Justin, it varies a lot. Too much to really explain here, but it varies a lot depending on what figure you're looking for and how complete it is and everything. But good luck. I really think that it's a fun hobby. I love collecting. It's been a lot of fun for me. So I hope you enjoy it. Just take your time, be patient. So anyway, yeah, it's an interesting topic. We get a lot of, shooting from the hip commentary about, kids these days and, what people think that is acceptable in current society and how that relates to, military toys or military properties. I don't buy a lot of that because for each of those criticisms we see counterexamples that are actually happening right now and are reasonably popular. So I just don't I don't quite buy that. Anyway, so it's getting to be about 8 o'clock. It's been a pretty long day for me. Thanks everyone for showing up. And thanks for the discussion. It was a lot of fun. I hope that we can pick it up again next week. Thanks again to JJ's Toy Room for the warm invite out in Dallas. Yeah, we will see you all guys soon. So thanks everyone. And we will talk soon. I am going to let you all go. And I may take a nap. I'm really tired. I'm exhausted. So yeah, thanks everyone. Good night. I am now going to press this button here and turn this thingamajig off.